Good morning and welcome to my neighborhood. The birds are out in force today. You know, the sun was coming up about just after 5:30 this morning. So the birds are happy, it seems. I want to talk about SETI and bacteria. I know, two really different things, but they're not. SETI is the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. Don't run away yet, because what we're really talking about is very grounded in Earth and some of the current issues that we're having with climate change, pandemics, and other things like that. But we're taking a broader view today. There's a lovely paper that came out today, and it suggested that perhaps, just perhaps, we're going about looking for extraterrestrial intelligence all wrong. And that maybe the intelligence that has been doing this for the longest might be the one that's actually communicating already with extraterrestrials. And what may that be, you might ask, and it's a very wise question, but what we are looking at is bacteria. Bacteria have been around on the planet for something in the order of 3 billion years, and they're responsible for building all the plants and animal life we've seen emerge in the last 6 million years. And unlike most of the plant and animal life that have emerged, bacteria can survive in space for, as far as we know, up to 3 years, maybe a lot longer. And they can be dormant for millions of years and still function. They also are probably the largest biomass on the planet, and they're found just about everywhere, including as far down as we've drilled into the Earth crust, which is a fair ways. We have this anthropomorphic bias where we think you have to walk around and have eyes and ears and stuff like that to be intelligent. But bacteria are not just single-celled organisms. I mean, they are, but they live in colonies of billions. And those colonies communicate. There's two terms. There's one term that talks about the biosphere of bacteria on the Earth, and how it essentially is a very large communicating organism. And it's very smart. It's been regulating carbon, nitrogen, and sulfur metabolisms of the planet's biome, so to speak, for as far as we know. Take away these bacteria and gradually everything on the planet ceases to function. Because we really don't understand the intelligence and complexity of interactions that it takes to manage these things. Oh, we think we're smart, but when you have, basically it's a loosely organized multi-cellular thing. Don't know what else to call it. So it's been around for 3 billion years. It's still around. And not only just still around, it's still pretty dominant on the planet in spite of all the plants and animals that have evolved in the last 600 million years. So how is it that anybody could imagine that these things could do the search for extraterrestrial intelligent life. And why this might be important, one, to people looking for this. I mean, we've been running radio telescopes, and Carl Sagan has been promoting this since 1959. And there was thoughts that, you know, any intelligent life that was sufficiently complex to be seen from Earth would have to use a lot of energy. And hence you have things like Dyson shells, which build whole shells around not only planets but solar systems to gather all the energy of the sun. We live on these shells. But bacteria can communicate in a variety of ways. I mean, cytoplasts, I think that's what they're called, the things that learned how to convert sunlight and oxygen and various things around and about into energy for their functioning, and the basis for most plants. As a result, they can sense light. They can sense frequencies of light. And when we go and look at planets, maybe we should be looking for, you know, not Dyson spheres blocking out suns, that is, gravity versus light emissions, exempting black holes perhaps, but maybe we should be looking for oxygen, methane, phosphane, things that bacteria produce. And there was a recent excitement when they thought they'd found some. I think it was in Venus. There was a recent excitement when they thought they had found some of these things. I think it was on Venus. And it was kind of interesting, and they were going, oh my God. But it turned out that on other observations, it was probably some kind of sulfur compound. It's possible to make these mistakes. But you say, how in the world can these bacteria, even though they are multitudinous and can see the sun, you know, you get sunflowers that turn to the sun, so, you know, just seeing light is a little bit more than just growing. It actually can track the sun. So, but these bacteria, there's a term, I don't recall what it is, I'll put it up in the video here, that hypothesizes that bacteria exist throughout the universe and that they move from planet to planet, possibly on asteroids. You know, we have small asteroids hitting us all the time, some big ones too. So, you know, it is possible they could survive re-entry and things. And if they use any of the basis that any of our bacteria do, perhaps they can communicate. Because communication, if we can look at light spectra, and, you know, part of SETI is that you look, you analyze, and you communicate. So analyzing, do we see other planets that have spectra? We're looking at light spectra. And yes, we're looking at primarily from the sun, but you know, maybe there is light spectra otherwise too. And there's also other spectra, gamma radiation, and periodicity as well. And communicate, well, you're generating methane and oxygen, carbon dioxide and stuff into our atmosphere, which sort of sends up a bright signal in terms of relative spectra. And if you can piggyback on something that leaves the planet, even us, because as humans go to, let's say, Mars, it's pretty hard to leave the human biota, the bacteria in our guts behind. That is, not take them with us. And you can try very hard not to contaminate the planet, but you know, it's probably somewhat difficult to avoid. I'm sure they'll try. Maybe they can avoid it. But there is a strong likelihood that if it's with us, given past experience, it will travel. So maybe that's all we are. Maybe we've just evolved to be vectors for transportation for bacteria out into the solar system. Maybe that's how it works. They don't say that in the paper, of course. Just that it may travel with us as we go into space. So why is this important? Well, I thought it was kind of curious. And I liked that they were talking about a very large distributed intelligence that balances, you know, the nitrogen, carbon, sulfur metabolisms of our planet. This matters because the balance is changing. Our climate is changing. And probably things like viral increases, transmissions, zoonotic transmissions, we will find as we go along are being facilitated by some of these changes. So that's all. Just a different way to look at bacteria and our place in the universe. Like the authors of this paper that can think creatively to tell a story. See you next time. I can see you. Bye for now.